Hello friends, welcome to English का ज्ञान चिंतन के साथ and today we are going to discuss a new topic for IELTS Task 2. So before we do that, let me show you the playlist in which I have discussed vocabulary which can be utilized in your IELTS examination for either writing module or for speaking module. Like if you are not sure about the pronunciation of the word, then definitely you can utilize those words in your writing, because in writing section, nobody is going to judge your pronunciation. So feel free to use those words about which like you are not sure about the pronunciation, but if you are clear with the meaning, then you can definitely use them in your writing module. Okay, I have explained all these words with sentences and with meanings and with some live example of some news articles in which the same words has been utilized. So definitely I believe that you will like this explanation, and if possible then try to create a sentence in comment section so that we can verify further. Okay, now let's come back to the topic of the essay for today's video. And if I read out the statement which is in front of you guys, then it is something, today's topic is something relevant with the rules and regulations, okay, or what I can say, rules and laws. Okay, so the statement is something like this: that society is based on rules and laws. If individuals are free to do whatever they want to do, society cannot run. Right? This is the first sentence which is in front of you. It means that this sentence is trying to say that with like society can only run with proper rules and regulation, with proper rules and laws. Okay, without rules and laws, society cannot run. So this is what the basic statement is. Okay, now to what extent do you agree or disagree? Okay, whether you believe that okay, society cannot run without law, without rules and regulation. If that is the case, it means you are totally agree with this statement. If you believe that okay, society can be run without rules and regulation, it means you disagree. If you believe that okay, to some extent society can run with rules and regulation, but in another part like society can also run without rule and regulation, it means you are partially agree. I always prefer like friends to be diplomatic, but this is the essay in which probably I'm going to cover only one side. It means this is the essay, in this particular essay I'm going to agree with this point. Okay, instead of being diplomatic, I am going to agree with this point, because according to me, society cannot run without rules and regulation. That is what I believe, and just because of that reason I am going to completely agree with this statement. It means I really believe that if society has to run properly, then there has to be some rules and regulation, and the strict implementation of the same is required. That is what I believe. Right now, as I have said earlier, like any particular thing, any task to for IELTS examination can be written in 4 paragraph patterns. The first one will be your introduction. The second one will be your body paragraph number 2. The third one will be your body paragraph number 2. The first one will be body paragraph number 1, and the last one will be your conclusion. Okay, so we can develop our essay introduction, body paragraph number 1, body paragraph number 2, and the last will be your conclusion. In that manner 4 paragraphs will complete your entire essay. Now for writing introduction, okay, for any IELTS essay there are two activities are required, and they are like, the first thing is keyword finding, and the second one will be thesis statement. So let's start keyword hunting for this particular statement. So friends, if you try to find out the general keyword from this particular statement, then it would be something like rules and regulation, or you can consider laws, right? So like we can write 2 to 3 sentences, generalized sentences, like why rules and regulations are required, like how they are important for the betterment of society or something like that. Those 2 to 3 sentences you can write about targeting or by using that keyword. Okay, and that will build your introduction paragraph. Now the question will be like what kind of sentences you can write. So that we are going to see in the next slide, in which we are going to see entire introduction paragraph by uh, using this explanation. So just wait for it. Now it's time to discuss the second activity, which is quite important to develop the introduction paragraph. And the second activity is writing thesis statement. So without wasting any time, let's start discussing thesis statement for this particular essay. If I talk about the definition of thesis statement, friends, then thesis statement is a statement by which you are communicating your view for the given topic to your examination. And that is the statement by which you are communicating your examiner that I am going to write about this and this thing in my further essay, right? So as we have discussed earlier that the statement is given and the statement is something like that, the with like society can run with rules and regulations only. Okay, and as I have said earlier, for this particular essay, I am totally agree with that statement. It means that, okay, it means that I have advantages of rules and regulations, okay, to run the society in my mind, and that's why I become agree with this statement. Okay, and if that is the case, right, it means that in body paragraph, in both the body paragraph, I am going to write the advantages of rules and regulations, or what I can say laws for society. Okay, that is what I am going to write. But before writing that, what could be our thesis statement? So simply, thesis statement is like, as there are so many advantages of rules and regulations for society to run properly. Okay, like I opine that the rules and regulation play a major role for the betterment of society. That is what the general idea of the thesis statement. But if I write that thesis statement by using some advanced vocabulary, then my thesis statement will become something like this: saying the abundant merits of constitution. Constitution means a kind of rules and regulation. Abundant means so many. Okay, instead of using so many, you can use abundant word. This is the highlighted word. I opine that laws play an imperative role for appropriate management of society. Okay, imperative means important. Okay, so these are the couple of advanced vocabulary which I have utilized for writing the thesis statement. It means like in a general way, I am trying to say that with the help of like in a general way, I am trying to say that the rules and regulation play an important role for the management of society. It means that I'm going to write about the advantages of rules and regulation to run society properly. Okay, so that is what I'm going to develop. In that way, I'm going to develop my further essay. Okay, so up to this particular point, we have discussed like what is the keyword of this particular statement, how, like, and what is this thesis statement for this particular statement. Now it's time to see, based on whatever discussions that we have made up to this point, now it's time to see how our introduction paragraph can be developed by using this explanation. So let's see the same. Okay, friends, now it's time to discuss body paragraph number 1, in which we are going to discuss first part of advantages of rules and regulation to run society properly. So without wasting any time, let's start discussing points for body paragraph number 1. So friends, as you can see, like the first rules and regulations, like which I have mentioned, like like we daily observe this kind of rules and regulations, and that is what the traffic laws, or what I can say the traffic rules. Okay, now how implementation of these traffic rules can become beneficial for the society. Okay, so here I have given one example that if people are going to follow the traffic rules, then it will decrease the traffic congestion, right? If the traffic congestion will be decreased, then it will decrease the number of accidents, right? And in that way, implementation of traffic rules and regulation will become helpful or will become advantageous for the society. And that's why without this kind of laws, society cannot run properly, right? So I have mentioned one advantage of uh, traffic rules and regulation to run society properly. Okay. Now, if I talk about the another advantage or another category of the rules and regulation and how it becomes helpful to society, then another rule and regulation which probably we observe, it's like there are certain rules and regulations are there for natural resources conservation. Okay, natural resources means what? Natural resources means petrol, diesel, like there are certain materials like which can be mined out um, from the different uh, what I can say from different geographical locations. So those all those things are considered as a natural resources. Okay, water, I would say water is also a natural resource we can consider. So like in each and every country, right, like government has some rules and regulations for has made some rules and regulation for industry to use these natural resources in appropriate manner only. And just because of these rules and regulations which can control the usage of this natural conservation, ultimately it will avoid the scarcity of the same. It means just because of this kind of rules and regulation, okay, we will have these natural resources for a longer period of time for the society. And that is what the advantage of this kind of rules, which are somehow relevant with the natural resource conservation. Okay, so that is also one more advantage of rules for managing society properly or for the betterment of society. So that is the another advantage which you can include in your body paragraph number 1. Now it's time to discuss third law, right? And if I talk about the third law or rule or regulation, then it is somehow like there are also some like in many countries, including India also now, that some rules and regulations are made by the government or made by like on a what I can say on a group level. Some NGOs has created some rules and regulation. Some group of people has created some rules and regulation relevant to keep society clean, right? So, like the rules which can force people to keep society clean, ultimately or eventually or in a longer run, this kind of rules will prevent some contagious disease. Contagious means infectious, I would say. Okay, वो डिसीज जो लाइक वो जो बहुत जल्दी ही स्प्रेड होती है, so that is what the meaning of contagious. Okay, so this kind of rules and regulation relevant to cleanliness, okay, will prevent this kind of contagious disease to be spread in the society. Okay, in that way probably those rules relevant to cleanliness and keeping society clean will become helpful or will become advantageous for society. Now it's time to see like how we can develop body paragraph number 1 by using this particular uh, points. So let's see the same. Now it's time to discuss body paragraph number 2, in which again we are going to discuss advantages of these rules and regulation. Why? Because in our thesis statement we have completely agree with the given topic, because we believe that without rules and regulation can society cannot run. It means in entire paragraph we can discuss advantages of rules and regulation in perspective of society. Okay, so let's discussing body paragraph number 2. Okay. Now, if I like in this particular body paragraph number two, like the first point, according to me, or the first kind of rules and regulation that I am going to discuss is somehow relevant with the corporate life. Okay. In many of the countries, like there are rules and regulations are there to safeguard the employees who are working in corporate world. For example, if I talk about certain rules and regulations, then in many of the countries, there are rules and regulations for the employer to provide certain minimum wages or minimum salary to employee. And just because of this kind of rule, okay, like it will become beneficial for the society to run properly. Okay, it will decrease the inequality between the people who are living in the society. Okay, and in that manner, these rules of providing minimum salary to all the employees who are working in one firm, right, it will become helpful for the society to run properly. And that's why you can include in that, you can include that point as an advantage in your second paragraph. Now let's go and discuss another advantage for body paragraph number two. And if I talk about this advantage, then somehow this particular advantage is relevant with the child education, right? So, like in many country, and probably I would say in most of the country, like there are rules and regulations to provide some basic education to children, right? And this kind of rules and regulations will definitely become beneficial for the overall development of the country, or not only country, or what I can say, overall development of society. Like, and in a longer run, like it will become beneficial for the overall growth of the world, right? And just because of that reason, these rules relevant to child education, free child education, and all those things, it will definitely beneficial for the society. And just because of that reason, you can include that point also in your body paragraph number two. Now, the third and most important point, or the all the rules probably which we are like we daily observe in our day-to-day life, is like in many of the country, like in constitution, there is a scheme of reservation is also there, right? And if I talk about the advantage of this scheme, then so many youth or so many young people of deprived class, or so many young people who are coming from the poor background, they are taking the advantage of this particular scheme, right? Although like that particular scheme gives a kind of protection, like to younger people of backward class, and in that way, like the rules and regulations relevant to reservation is helpful for the society, and it can become conducive for overall development of the society. And just because of that reason, you can also consider that point as an advantage by considering or in perspective of society. And that's why you can include that point in your body paragraph number two. Although some amendments are required in that scheme, and each and everybody has come together to make certain changes in that scheme, depending on the requirement, depending on the time. But yes, definitely that scheme has provided so many advantages for to so many individuals, and indeed, like it is betterment for the society. Okay, so like this is what the advantages which I have discussed for the body paragraph number two. Now it's time to see, by using these points, how we can develop our body paragraph number two. So let's see the same in next slide. Now it's time to discuss conclusion for the given topic. And as I always say, friends, like whenever you want to write conclusion for any given topic, then just try to ask yourself who can do something and what can be done for the given topic, right? If I talk about the given topic over there, over here, then the topic is something like that, that society cannot run without rules and regulation. Okay, it means that rules and regulations are important for society, right? So like who can do something, it means who can do something for implementing proper rules and regulation, who can do something to follow rules and regulation to run the society properly. So the answer of who will be government. Government can create proper rules and regulation, and people can follow that rules and regulation properly to run society properly. So the answer of who would be people and government. And what can be done? Then the answer of what would be the rules, the proper rules and regulations should be created, and they has to be followed properly. It means the people and government should come together to implement laws properly and to follow rules properly for the betterment of society. That is what the general idea of your conclusion. But again, like if I write that particular general idea by using certain advanced vocabulary, then my conclusion will be something like this: that to conclude, laws are made for flourishing lives of people. Flourishing means for developing, right? You can consider flourishing means for developing lives of people. Therefore, an individual means, here I am trying to say, therefore people should rub shoulders with the government. Rub shoulders means they should work together with government for proper implementation of this rule to develop for the comprehensive development of society. That is what my thesis statement, right? I hope friends you like this explanation, and you get something to learn from this explanation. If you like this kind of explanation, then please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. We will meet next weekend with one more topic for IELTS Task 2. Till then, be happy, be safe, and if you have any other points rather than whatever we have discussed for the given topic, then please feel free to add them in comment section so that we can further discuss the same if required. And now it's time to see the entire essay slide by slide. So without wasting any time, let's do the same. Thank you so much for watching my videos.